Hi, my name is Ainsley Daniel, and this is my final presentation for Native American music. One thing that contributes to Native Americans being misrepresented in American popular music is called singing redface, and this is something that's been going on for a long time, ever since the Indians were first discovered by the Europeans. So singing redface is whenever a non-native person takes on the racial archetype of a Native American character through song. And so this is very similar to blackface, which is what a lot of artists did a long time ago as well. And that's when a white person would dress up and pretend to be black and perform songs or anything on stage. And what this did was create a lot of stereotypes towards African Americans and also Native Americans. And it kind of simplified the Native American culture of all of the tribes and put them into one stock character for Indians. So it just created stereotypes and stock characters from white people pretending to be Native American. A result of the stock characters and stereotypes that were made after singing Redface was a lot of racial antipathy towards Native Americans. And that's just a strong dislike towards an entire race. These stereotypes that were made were very negative. Some of them included a savage warrior, a drunk Indian, or a mean, crazy squaw, which is a word that they would use to describe Native American women. And so one term that was kind of made from this antipathy was an Indian giver. That was just someone who wanted something back after they had given it to you, which was kind of a misunderstanding from early travelers. And a lot of sports teams use these symbols like a savage, Indian, and violent, and it further reinforces the thoughts and feelings against Native Americans. Once people really started to learn about the struggles that Native Americans went through, a lot of artists started creating songs that were supposed to be empathetic and show kind of the struggle that Native Americans actually went through and the sadness of it. But whenever artists did this, they still did it to a stereotype of a Native American that does not exist all the time. And this was called idealized sympathy. And so that's being sympathetic to an unreal image of something. So some of the songs that were sympathetic describe the Native Americans in a past tense, which also furthered the idea that Native Americans were gone and they weren't something that was real and weren't people that still existed to this day. Another way that American music has been disrespectful towards Native Americans has been using cultural misappropriation. And that is the use of something developed in one cultural context by someone who belongs to another culture. And this necessarily isn't always bad if it is appreciating the other culture and giving credit to the other culture and being respectful of that culture. But some ways that music has done this towards Native Americans would be to use native drum beats, like described in the book as the 1, 2, 3, 4. And they would take credit and say that that was native whenever it really was not native at all. And one big thing that happens with this is at music festivals. A lot of fashion that you see there, it includes Native American dress and clothing, and specifically Native American headdresses. And so headdresses are very special to Native Americans, and it's a very high authority wears them, and so it's very disrespectful to use them as fashion and a prop when you're at a music festival like that. And so some music festivals have also banned people from even wearing them and entering the music festival with them on. Something that's happened from the long history of people misrepresenting Native Americans has turned into cultural confusion. And so this can be like children now that really think that the image of Native Americans that they see in movies and cartoons is real because that's all they've ever seen or known of Indians. And so they get really confused to find out that that's not the truth. And so something that can play into this cultural confusion is whenever people are playing Indian. And so people playing Indian is whenever they dress up and act or perform like Native Americans, but the Native Americans that they are representing are the stereotypes of Native Americans that have been seen throughout history. And so some ways that children do this at a young age is by playing cowboys and Indian and dressing up for a Thanksgiving meal. And so their whole life they're told this one image of Native Americans, and that creates a big confusion in their mind because that's the only thing that they know to be true. The song from chapter 6 that I chose to look into a little deeper, what that misused Native Americans was Indian Outlaw by Tim McGraw. I chose this song because this was a song that I remembered hearing on the radio and singing and never really understanding or fully grasping what the song was saying. And so this song really encompasses all of the elements that were discussed in this paper. It has Tim McGraw singing Redface and claiming that he is Indian, and then he also uses all of these different terms that are perceived to be Indian, saying he lives in a wigwam and lives in a teepee and plays on his tom-tom drum, which we've learned isn't a drum that Native Americans would use. And so him using these terms also reinforces kind of the cultural confusion that people in America have towards Native Americans. I looked at his music video for this, and a lot of the comments were praising him and saying that this is why they're proud to be Indian and Cherokee. And I think that was an example of cultural confusion because they were not even aware that these things are not Cherokee. And this song was a big hit, and Tim McGraw gained a lot of money off of it. And also in his music video, there were no Native Americans in the music video. It was just him and a lot of other white people in the video. And maybe they were Native American and you just couldn't visually see it, but it didn't seem like he used any of his profits to help Native Americans or benefit them at all. Thank you for watching my final presentation, and I've really enjoyed this class, and it has really inspired me to look more into Native American culture and learn more about my history. So thank you, and have a great day.